Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast Monday show, where we'll be reflecting on a difficult week, a difficult end to a difficult week for Newcastle United after that 3-2 home defeat against Brentford on Saturday night. I'm joined by Chronicle Live's chief Newcastle United writer, Lee Ryder, to go through what was a really chastening 90 minutes for Eddie Howe and his players. First of all, we have to say a big thank you to our sponsors, NordVPN. Hit the link in the podcast description box to get a discounted offer on your NordVPN plan. One subscription can be used across 10 devices and there's no risk with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Welcome along, Lee. Good to have you with us. A lot to take in from Saturday night, but just first of all, your overall thoughts on the game.
Well, to be honest, I think that it wasn't a game where Newcastle didn't have difficulties, as we've seen. Game management kind of comes into question again. But to be totally honest, my kind of overriding feeling of it was when it went to 2-2, Bruno from the spot, I thought Newcastle were going to push on and win this. I think we all had a little feeling of that. Whether it's hope, I don't know. But I genuinely thought it was going to be a little bit like maybe the Leeds game where Newcastle, fought back from adversity. And that's the way I thought it was going to go. And then maybe they were overcommitting and didn't want to perhaps settle for the draw, and they've ended up losing the game with an absolute sucker punch at the end. So, yeah, it was a deflating afternoon. That's for certain.
Now, normally we will go through the game sort of chronologically, but which we will do. But just I think it's important that we address the post-match press conference. Eddie Howe, obviously, given some tough questions. There was a lot of understandable negativity towards the team at full time. A lot of it born in frustration and because of recent results. Just looking at Eddie's comments after the game, there's a harsh reality for me. I think I have to think long and hard about not my effort, because I can't question that, but I have to work better, do more. I have to take responsibility for everything you see on the pitch. I have to work out solutions. I also, of course, have to ask the same of my players. I have to ask them to be really honest and look at their best levels and judge them against that now in this current moment. To me, that feels like one of the first times we've seen Eddie question his players in terms of the levels. I wouldn't go as far as to say commitment, but certainly the levels of performance on the pitch.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to give everyone that shot in the arm. I think my observation was when he entered the stage, because obviously I was in the room when he entered the stage, he was deeply upset. He looked deeply upset about the result and had taken it personally and looked a bit glazed. I thought he was reflecting how a lot of us felt just down and deflated on Saturday night. I thought it was quite logical the way that he took it on himself and took on the responsibility. I thought that was it was there to be kind of admired. I don't think he was trying to cover anything up with excuses. And in a way, it was kind of refreshing that he was prepared to take on that responsibility. But I think in the past we've had managers where they'll make excuses and they'll say everyone's against us, the world's against us, and all that. He didn't go down that route. Yeah. He went down I'm the one who needs to fix this, and the word solutions was mentioned. So yeah, I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything here, I don't think, because for me, the results haven't been good enough. Newcastle should be further up the table. The signings can be questioned from pre-season. And there's a lot of other problems that are there for all to see. But I think in terms of honesty, I think he kind of stepped up a little bit there on Saturday night.
The P word has come into it quite a bit, hasn't it? Pressure. Was asked about it on Saturday. But I guess when you're Newcastle United manager, when you're any Premier League manager, pressure comes in different forms from different places. There is pressure from the fan base because we're all desperate for success that we have had under Eddie. It's not happening at the moment, but we have had it. Do you feel, and this maybe isn't a question you can really answer, but do you feel there's pressure from the owners?
I mean, when you look at what David Hopkinson said the other day, we want to win the title by 2030, or we should at least be aiming to, then that comes with pressure itself, because they're not going to win it this season. So, it's one of the next 3 seasons. Eddie Howe has been tasked to win it. Does that give you an impression of the long-term challenge? Are they saying that Eddie will be the one to try and win it within 3 years? Was there a little hint in there? I don't know, but there's always pressure. There's always pressure, and I think managers become immune to it. He said on Friday, I think, I'll keep doing this until I'm told otherwise. So I think until that moment comes, then you're going to get 100% from Eddie Howe. But is he under pressure? Yeah, he is, but he's always under pressure to get a result. So I don't think that's anything that's going to affect him. Is it increased pressure? I would say probably, yeah. It's probably the roughest patch he's had as manager. And now he has to go and back that up with results. But otherwise, that noise gets louder.
We'll just read out. Well, I'll read out the statistics. They don't make for good reading at the moment. Obviously, Newcastle in 12th place in the table, 10 points from the top 5, 6 points from the top 7. That was Brentford's first ever top flight win at St James's Park. Their first at St James's Park in any competition since 1934-35. It's now 1 win in 8 games in all competitions, and they've lost 4 out of the last 5. It is, I mean, since Eddie came in, it is, as you said, the stickiest patch he's been in. He seems to be fronting up to it. I mean, you've just come from his pre-match press conference ahead of the Tottenham game on Tuesday night, which we will come on to later. But he's kind of asking his players to do the same thing as well, because it was really interesting. I noted the post-match comments from Bruno on Saturday, and Trippier as well, saying they are going to step up, they are going to get behind the manager, which is a positive in itself. But again, and I say this all the time on here, it's not words that are needed, is it? It's actions.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, those statistics that you just read out there, they do not make for good reading. They are ugly statistics, and they are, you know, Newcastle they've got to turn the corner in the next couple of games, or as I say, that noise is going to get louder. I mean, it's kind of like, it's going to go two ways. Either we are going to turn the corner and we're going to get a result and get through in the cup, or it's going to unravel. We're going to go out the FA Cup. We're going to get a tough draw in Europe, providing we beat Qarabağ, of course. And then, you know, you've got the derby on the horizon as well. Now, if Newcastle fail in all 3, then I think, you know, Eddie Howe may well, you know, accept that he's got it wrong this season. At the minute, it's still there to be fought for, and the job is still his to lose. And I think that's the way he's got to approach it. But it's not good. I'm not trying to paint a rosy picture here. It's pretty poor, really. You know, Newcastle won 9 games in the Premier League from 25. Not on top of the maths, but what's that, 36% or something win ratio this season in the Premier League alone. It's difficult, and he knows he's got to turn around. I think when he lost the derby at Stadium of Light, that was a big dent in his armour. I think that's what started this kind of chain of events, and he is under pressure from some sections of the fans. It's not like a campaign. It's not like what we've seen in the past where people are waving banners around. It's not like that. It's kind of building, and I think he needs to address it.
But that noise is going to grow, isn't it? As you mentioned there, there's a really tough run of games coming up. The schedule showing absolutely no signs of relenting. I mean, you mentioned, obviously, Tottenham Tuesday night, Villa in the Cup on Saturday. You've got the Qarabağ, 2 legs of that, a visit to Man City again. And you mentioned again, it's quite rightly, the derby is on the horizon. We'll not get that far ahead just yet. But, you know, if it is going to turn around, it's going to have to happen in really, really difficult circumstances, because that run of fixtures, even the logistical side of going to Qarabağ, it's painful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a demanding run. It's not like Newcastle have got a squad like Man City or Liverpool where they can play 5 or 6 quality youngsters. They just haven't got that. As you know from covering under 21s, that those players aren't ready yet to do that job. There's 1 or 2 that might, you know, come in and do something. You know, if only you had 3 or 4 Lewis Mileys to come in, then, you know, things are looking a lot better and it eases the pressure on the squad. But this is going to be tough. I mean, Qarabağ, it's a trip into the unknown, really, for Newcastle. We don't know a lot about them. We just know it's going to be tough, and logistically, it's going to be a challenge. Villa in the cup. I mean, that for me is the one where you win that, and you've got 6,000 Newcastle fans down Villa Park celebrating that. I think that really lifts the season, because then you can look forward to the draw, start dreaming about Wembley again. But they've obviously got to win it. You know, it's lovely saying that, but yeah, there's a lot of questions to be answered in the next few games, certainly.
Yeah, there was a really good piece on Chronicle Live from Ross Gregory saying that cool heads are needed throughout this period. It's worth a look if you get 5 minutes. So yeah, just looking at Saturday night, a quick look at the team news. Obviously, a few changes for Newcastle. All the pre-match talk was about Johan Wissa coming into the side against his former club. Jacob Murphy starting on the right-hand side of that front three, with Harvey Barnes switching to the left because of Anthony Gordon's injury. Joe Willock retaining his place in midfield. Jacob Ramsey dropping out, and a big boost with Bruno Guimaraes coming back into the side. What was the kind of consensus, well, from yourself and in the media lounge when that team news dropped an hour and a quarter before kickoff?
Yeah, I think for me the big surprise was Dan Burn not starting. I think he brings leadership to the team. I know Sven Botman got the goal, but I always think that Eddie Howe in the past has tried to accommodate Dan Burn, regardless of who's fit and available, whether he changes it to 3 at the back or flat back 4. He always seems to include Dan Burn somewhere, and he didn't do that at the weekend, and that was a surprise to me and some of the other people I was sitting with in the press lounge before the game. And Elanga, for me, I thought on the back of his performance and goal at Man City, I thought it was a perfect time to start him on the back of that confidence. He's obviously trying to build his confidence back up, and to not be included, I thought that was a surprise. It may be part of squad rotation. I just think that Newcastle have got to kind of maybe park some of that at the minute and pick the right team. And yeah, that was a big surprise to me, those two.
Yeah, I agree with Elanga when I thought after his goal and what was a pretty bright performance, barring the sitter that he missed against City. I really thought he was a shoe-in to start on the right-hand side. Yeah, we'll go through the game chronologically. Obviously, inside the first 2 minutes, there was a big let-off, I thought, for Newcastle. Kieran Trippier pulling back Keane Lewis-Potter as he went in on goal. VAR checked it and waved it away. What I will say, I did actually think it was a foul, but I think the way Keane Lewis-Potter went down hasn't helped himself. He's gone down very theatrically, which I think is why the foul may not have been given. But what was your view on that? Haven't seen it back.
Yeah, at the time, I just kind of seen the tug, and I thought that could cost us here. So I thought it was a let off, but as you say, he did make a meal of it. So that's probably got us off the hook. And for me, I mean, that would have been a disastrous start to the game. But even though it wasn't given, it kind of set a certain tone. It put a bit of fear around the stadium that, you know, Brentford are a good side. You can look at the club crests and think, oh, that'll be an easy win. We should get 3 or 4 goals here. It doesn't work like that now. It's Brentford are a very good, well-organised side. They don't have any other distractions like Europe at the moment, so they can work on the training ground. And the manager, Keith Andrews, is very, very meticulous and a candidate for manager of the season. So it was a tough game going into it.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle, I thought, started really slowly, but got themselves ahead. Sven Botman on his 100th game for the club with an awkward-looking header in the end from a brilliant corner from Bruno, which was a real feature of the opening sort of half hour for Newcastle. Got themselves in front, but again, I felt as if, and this isn't the first time we've said that this season, that didn't really seem as if they were going to really kick on and get a second. Almost dropped back in to try and hold the lead and got punished for it when Brentford equalised. A brilliant header from Vitaly Janelt.
Yeah, I mean, I have obviously at the minute there's so many theories floating around, and one of the ones I've seen is when Newcastle go 1-0 up, they seem to have this breather. I don't know if anyone else has noticed it, but they seem to like try and regain some energy, and they don't stay on the front foot. And obviously, if Wissa scored what you would call a sitter, then it's 2-0, and you know the game's a different game. But there was a kind of change in pace, I thought, and then Brentford were never going to turn that down, and I think that helped lead to the equaliser.
I said it in a video I did after the game as well, that my big issue in Newcastle this season, and I think it happened on Saturday as well, is that Newcastle seem to have to slog their guts out to get goals, whereas opposition just find it so easy to score past Newcastle at the moment. And I thought the way, obviously, the penalty came about, Brentford's penalty, Newcastle on an unbelievable break and a great chance for Sandro Tonali to slide 2 or 3 players in the area, miscalculates a pass, really, really poor from him. But then the break, Newcastle just don't react. Brentford hit this lightning quick break, and obviously it ends with Jacob Murphy blocking a goal-bound shot with his arm. I've just watched Ref Watch, which is never a good idea on Sky Sports when, Dermot Gallagher always agrees with referees. But I have to say, this time, I think, although his arm was down by side, the fact it's blocked a goal-bound shot means it probably is a penalty. Where do you stand on that one?
Yeah, I think we went into the press room at half-time and we could hear the Sky Sports panel discussing it. And they were kind of saying that, where else could he put his arm, sort of thing. But you do see defenders now, they're putting their arms behind the back to try and remove any doubt whatsoever. And he didn't do that. And yeah, it's a split-second thing. I mean, he probably didn't expect Kieran Trippier to be sliding halfway off the pitch at the time. So he's trying to recover, and he's got, as I say, split-second stuff. Can't argue with it, unfortunately. It's hit his arm, and they made the decision, and Newcastle just had to kind of regroup after that.
I guess we should be grateful this isn't the 90s or 2000s, because I think that would have been a red card as well, wouldn't it, for denial of a goal. So half-time comes. The atmosphere of the stadium, I thought, was obviously clearly one of disappointment, and understandably so. Eddie looked to his bench, brought on Nick Voltemada and Johan Wissa. Those changes, I don't think made an immediate change or improvement, didn't bring an improvement out of the side. You're just looking for more, aren't you, from players like Wissa and Voltemada? I mean, I know we spoke about, not Wissa, sorry, Elanga. You look at Elanga, you look at Voltemada, a lot of money's gone on to them. You kind of need more. They need to start showing up now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'd already made the decision Elanga was going to come on, because he immediately got sent to warm up before half the players had even got off the pitch. He was on warming up with one of the fitness guys. So they'd already made that decision. And you're looking for more from Voltemada. I think if you look last season at Stuttgart, I think he played as like the second striker. He's not deemed as a prolific goal scorer, and he plays deeper than we used to see him from a sort of number 9 at Newcastle. So I think it's about him still adapting to the Premier League. It's about him adapting to life at Newcastle. I mean, look, the own goal at Sunderland is clearly damaged his confidence. It would damage anyone's confidence. But the positive I'll take from it is that I know I'm skipping a little bit ahead here, the penalty, but he wanted to take that penalty, so I think that's probably a positive.
Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't have an impact in some stages. He did, there's some nice little passes out wide that he's made and got some nice little areas. My frustration was that he went on a good run towards the edge of the box on 2 occasions. The game's opened up for him in front, and he just hasn't let fly. He's tried to play someone in. Like to see him be a bit more selfish in those ones. You mentioned the penalty, and obviously there's a piece gone out. I think was it from yourself on Chronicle Live. I think Bruno is the nominated penalty taker, so I think in that sense the right things happened, and I don't want to overplay what happened, but I guess it is nice that, as you said, that Voltemada wanted to take it and wanted to take that responsibility.
Yeah, well, he's grabbed the ball straight away, and then the next thing that I saw was Kieran Trippier kind of trying to move him away and push him back, as if to say, let Bruno focus on this because he's taking it. And for me, that's, for all that's happened to him, he's on 12, 13 games without a goal, the own goal at Sunderland, and people going from being a kind of instant hit to people questioning him, I think, to show that courage, and obviously missed a penalty in the shootout against Bournemouth. To have all those factors and then still want to step forward and get back on the goal trail, I think that's got to be a big positive for me. I think technically he is a good player. He's just having a bad time at the moment, but hopefully things can settle down. And if he has a decent end to the season, then his first season's going to probably finish in double figures, and you can't ask much more for a player who's cost that much money.
Bruno takes a penalty and scores back to 2-2. And I've seen some suggestions online that Newcastle should have maybe sat in and just played for the draw at this point. I've got two kind of reposts to that. One is that I don't think Newcastle can do that. I don't think they are capable of sitting in and playing for a draw. But also, there was still 11 minutes left and a lot of injury time. I mean, by that time, it'd be 20 minutes, wouldn't it, in total, with the 9 added on. I think it was pretty obvious they had to go for the win. Sort of created some little openings, but never felt as if that sort of winning goal was going to come from Newcastle.
No, it was a difficult end of the game, and it's easy with hindsight to say settle for the draw, and that's kind of what there's been a few occasions where certainly this season where they've conceded late. They've conceded so many late goals. I don't think it is so much a case of always settling for the draw. I think it's maybe a case of just trying to hold the shape a little bit better than, because they were all over the place when that goal went in. Kieran Trippier admitted it, saying he was out of position. He doesn't need to look back at it because he knows. So, yeah, I just think it can be too. It's kind of all or nothing with Newcastle, isn't it? Maybe it comes from the crowd. I don't know. We all want to see Newcastle just win games, and I'm the same. I was urging them on to win. I felt like they could take the win. Once it got a 2-2, it felt like there was only one winner. But as you say, for some reason, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I have to say, I turned to my son in the Millburn stand and said those exact words, that I thought there was only one winner here at 2-2 when Bruno scores a penalty. Sadly, there was one winner, but it wasn't Newcastle. I mean, again, I mentioned it earlier, being too easy to score goals against the winner. It just felt as if it was, I'm not going to say comedy errors, because that sounds really harsh on Newcastle, and probably is really harsh, actually. But a lot of misjudgment in the defence, a lot of an inability to track back from midfielders as well, just allowing Brentford to get through them too easily. Do we ask questions of Nick Pope on the goal as well? Obviously, it's gone through his legs. Maybe that is harsh as well. But it's just not a good look for Newcastle conceding a goal in that manner again. And again, another goal, I think that was completely avoidable.
Yeah, I mean, we've already mentioned Trippier being sort of out of position. It was an unbelievable pass from Jensen, I think, to play him in. And yeah, I think you probably can ask questions of the goalkeeper. It was probably savable, I think, is the only way of looking at it. But just the way things are going for Newcastle at the minute, that's kind of how it is. You know, things are going to go against us, and that's what happened in that exact moment. And yeah, it was just a devastating moment. I think there was a queue for some people to leave the seats because it was so late. But yeah, deflating. That's the only way I can describe it. Was it avoidable? Is what you're asking me? Yes. Just they couldn't keep the shape, and then it was individual mistakes capped off with the ball going through the keeper's legs.
So next up, as we said, was Tottenham on Tuesday night. You've literally just come back from Eddie Howe's press conference. Again, going back to to bookend what we spoke about here, did you sense a difference in tone from Eddie at his pre-match press conference as to what you heard on Saturday night?
Yeah, 100%. It was kind of night and day from Saturday night, and that's probably because the players had a day off yesterday, and he'll have had a day off and spent some time with family. And
does he have days off?
Well, he might have afforded himself quarter of a day off, maybe.
Yeah.
I might have, had I don't know exactly, but he's a workaholic. That's the thing, and he's gone away, and he knows he has to refresh. And I thought he was vibrant in the press conference. I thought he was sharp. He said all the right things. Didn't turn on anyone. There was no animosity towards certain journalists, and because everyone's going to have to write critical things after a defeat like that. And I've known in the past managers to give you short shrift, basically, or just blank you. Certainly one particular manager seemed to revel in giving me one-word answers after longer questions. But ultimately, Eddie Howe did not seem to hold any grudge. It's like it's a waste of energy in his eyes to have that kind of feeling. And basically, for me, I thought he was 9 out of 10 sort of performance in the press conference, if you want to put it that way, and didn't seem to put a foot wrong. Said if I felt I wasn't the man for the job, then I would step aside. And I think that was the key line to come out of it. So yeah, I thought it was a positive press conference. Again, not trying to sugarcoat it, but I walked out of there thinking we can get a result at Tottenham. So if I'm feeling that way, hopefully the players can follow suit.
Yeah, and that comment stood out like a sore thumb to me as well when I saw it on coming out via the sort of social media outlets from the Chronicle. Really interesting comment, and one that I think people shouldn't take the wrong way. It's clearly Eddie saying, "Look, I firmly believe I am the right man to turn this around." I know there's a bit of a division between supporters at the moment. I think that's a decision supporters have to take. Do they believe Eddie Howe is the right man to turn it around? And yeah, based on that press conference, and hopefully the players will believe the same thing. There is hopefully a turnaround coming pretty soon. Lee, thanks for joining us on the Monday show. Safe journey down to North London. Let's hope it's a more positive result for Newcastle. I'll be joined by John Gibson and also Spurs fan Lee Wilmot for View from the Opposition. We'll have a bit of a preview of the Spurs game coming up, and then we'll be back later in the week for a rundown of whatever happens at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We'll see you then.